This is Wild Nevadacast. I'm Dave Santina in the studio at PBS Reno in Reno, Nevada, sitting across from the president. No, not that one. Emma Wynn, president of the Nevada Native Plant Society. And Emma, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
So spring is here. Summer is coming very soon. So naturally, our thoughts turn to being outside on a perfect sunny day, maybe hiking a trail, maybe seeing some beautiful scenery, like perhaps some flowers, wildflowers. That's what I had in my head when we invited you to come talk about that. But you also have a much grander responsibility than just wildflowers. You are the head of the Nevada Native Plant Society. Just give me a little description of what that means.
Well, it was... The Nevada Native Plant Society was actually founded 50 years ago last month.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. And it was founded by an amazing woman called Margaret Williams, who I never met, but she was a teacher and a gardener. And she really loved gardening, was interested in cushion plants, the little rock garden plants, and then realized they were in her backyard. So she met various plant people and was a member of the California Native Plant Society and decided Nevada needed a Native Plant Society. So it was formed in, April 1975 was the inaugural meeting. They started doing field trips straight away. But what she wanted to do was promote awareness of our native plants. People don't realize how many plants there are in Nevada. They see sagebrush.
Right.
They see some of the mountains. They don't realize that we have over 3,000 species of plants. They're not all native in Nevada, even though we're the driest state in the nation. We're in the top 10 for floral diversity.
That's surprising.
A lot of them are what we call belly plants. You have to get down on your stomach to really look at them close up. The whole plant might be an inch high.
Right.
But she started the society, to spread awareness and promote enjoyment and pleasure in these plants, and also their conservation and protection, because many of our plants are threatened. And we try to reach out. We have monthly meetings in September through November. We stop for the winter, February through May. And in the summer, we're doing more field trips. We have a newsletter. We go to outreach events. We had a table at Earth Day. We're going to be at May Arboretum. We try to reach out to people that way. We have a lot of field trips. And
Nice.
You can find them on our website on the calendar. We co-host rare plant meetings every other year. Our website, we've got a new website. It's taking, we're still building it. We are an all-volunteer organization.
Right.
And so lots of people, they work their jobs, they get out to see the plants as well as try to maintain all the stuff.
Sure.
Oh, we give grants. We give a couple of grants every year. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're really just trying to reach out to anyone, whether you're a hiker, a photographer, a botanist, a plant geek who wants to go and find some of our rare plants. There's a space for anyone within the society, we hope.
Incredible. That's much more than I ever imagined when I heard about the society. I know you've been talking about partnering with Chris Orr on an episode of Wild Nevada coming up, so hopefully that does come to fruition. But in knowing that conversation was happening, I poached Emma to be here on the podcast a little bit before any of the other TV stuff happens. So thank you for allowing me to poach you. Now, you mentioned a whole bunch of things, and I want to come back to some of that because
Sure. Yes.
You do a lot, and I think that's really wonderful for people like me who really don't know that much, but enjoy a nice, beautiful day, spending it outdoors, but maybe I don't know if I want to go see some wildflowers. I want to go on a beautiful hike, and I just look outside, and I can pick one from any direction, but I'm not sure maybe where to go. So how do people take advantage of your services to help sort of decide where to go?
Well, one of the things is we do offer field trips. We actually, last Saturday, we went on the Dead Man's Creek Trail up to the gazebo. That's down by Washoe Lake.
I know where that is.
Yeah.
We did a show there once. We did that hike. That's a beautiful, and that's one of the few places, I shouldn't say the few, it's one of the places that I have returned to because I knew of it from doing Wild Nevada, and I was able to take my father-in-law and my mother-in-law up to the top, and they were thrilled. They thought it was a perfect day hike.
It is. It's a lovely hike. And we don't say we only went as far as the gazebo. Some of our other people went further because there's lots of areas you can go to from the gazebo.
Yeah.
But we were out for 3 and a bit hours. We saw over 40 species of plants. Some of them weren't quite in flower. Even though it's a dry year, the phlox there were beautiful. Not quite the full carpet you can get in a wet year, but gorgeous. And you get such a nice view when you're up on the gazebo.
The beautiful up there.
Yeah.
I've taken a few panoramics from that spot.
And even though you've got some elevation in that trail, it's still a nice gentle trail. It's not too steep. In the summer, we'll go up Slide Mountain, which is not bad because we go up the access road. But you've got a fair amount of elevation. But we don't hike; we ramble because we're looking at all of the plants. And we kind of joke sometimes. Sometimes it can take us an hour to get a couple of 100 yards from the parking lot because there's so much to see. So we're definitely ramblers, not hikers. Because if you hike, you miss the stuff, especially the little things.
That's true, yeah.
Our first field trip of the Reno season, was to Peavine on Hogue Road. And in fact, after this chat, I'm going to go there today to see what's come out since April in the month since I was there.
Nice.
And that has some fabulous plants. It has some interesting eriogonum. It has a gorgeous little lupin called a soft lupin, which is a white annual plant, and it only grows in this part of Nevada. It's endemic to this part of Nevada.
Really?
Yeah, and there's an eriogonum, which are the, what do they call them? Eriogonum, sorry. Anyway, it's an eriogonum. It's Eriogonum robustum. That only grows around Nevada, around Reno, because it needs a very acid soil. It grows on the altered andesite. So I would say Peavine is a great place for late spring, summer. Hogue Road is great. I'm going to even try driving my car off-road because there's some off-road trails, and I have a new car that will go off-road because I've only got a short time there, but there's some masses of trails there. We also go to the top of Peavine, and I think we're doing it at the end of June to go up where the radio or the building is, the towers are. And that is beautiful because you're high up, you've got these gorgeous colours in the paintbrushes and various other plants up there. So Peavine is great for late spring, early summer. Okay. Early spring, I go to Lower Thomas Creek, which is close to where I live, but it's beautiful. We have these little violets coming out. There's buttercups. None of the plants are more than a couple of inches. There's a lot of biscuit root, Lomatian species there. Okay. But the sheep are in there at the moment. Oh. And the sheep may eat some cheatgrass, but they much prefer the big-headed clover and the Lomatian and all of the native plants. So I won't go there for another couple of weeks until the sheep are out and things are starting to regrow.
Well, also you're being the ground is probably being fertilized by those sheep at the same time, so it can't be a lot of fun to walk in.
Well, they're not as bad as cows and horses, but yeah, that's a good point.
So, all right, so those are good spots. Thomas Creek, a little south of Reno, right?
Yes, it's off Mount Rose Highway. You can go along. You can access it either on Arrow Creek, but I go on Timberline, which from Mount Rose, and there's a parking lot there, and you can go down, you can go up Thomas Creek, you can go, and there's a new trail which takes you all along to Balladini, I think, all along those foothills above Reno. You just made me remember when we did the Wild Nevada episode on the Dead Man's Creek Trail. The next day, we went to the Ballardini Ranch, and we were looking at what at the time was new trail being cut in the hills. Yeah. And Mike White was our guide. He's written a number of hiking books. He was a guest on this show a while ago, actually. He pointed out where they're cutting new trail and the plan to connect all these trails. Yeah. And it sounds like it's happened. I think so. There is a new trail. I've seen the trailhead from the Thomas Creek side, which I'm pretty sure goes all the way over to Balladini, because I know that was the intent. And yes, I think Mike White is... I think I went to a presentation by him a while ago. And yes, he's written books about places to go in the Reno Sparks area, hasn't he? We have a blurb on one of them. Oh, okay. We do. I didn't really write it, and neither did Chris, because what we wrote was far too much for what the book publishers wanted. Yeah. But they said, thank you for this. How about we rewrite this for you? And here, what do you think? And it was, a tiny little blurb. Your and we paragraph went down to a few lines. Sure, go ahead. And now our name's on the back of a book, so we feel special. Oh, cool. And I'm pretty sure I have that book. Yeah. And later in the summer, say, I was born and brought up in the UK. Anything over 75 is a heat wave for me. I don't do well with the heat, so I don't go down to things like Hidden Valley and stuff in the summer. I go up Mount Rose. And
Nice.
there's some fabulous trails there. And one of my favorites is really short, but a great one. It's the Tahoe Meadows Interpretive Loop. You go up over Mount Rose. You've gone past the car park. You go down a little bit, and there's a parking lot for the TRT trail. And there's this 1.3-mile loop. It's paved part of the way. It's flat. So if you've got visitors from out of town who haven't adjusted to the altitude and stuff, it's great.
That's perfect.
And because it has wet areas, dry areas, wooded areas, there's dozens of species that you can see there. And once they open that, so from July, end of June, July through the fall, it's always worth walking there. There's something to see, and in the fall, it's gorgeous.
I love it. In the winter, people snowshoe around there.
Yes.
And
Chickadee.
now, and go for the chickadees. I also enjoyed a snowshoe hike up there, but returned without my wedding ring. Unfortunately, this is a replacement. The one I'm wearing is a replacement. But yeah, that was a Wild Nevada excursion that I will never forget, and it was the same episode as the other two hikes we just talked about. It all happened in one episode. You are bringing me back to this one episode, which was a few years ago. But that area it's year-round activity.
Yes.
That beautiful spot. Yeah. So what kind of wildflowers will you see on that loop?
Oh, well, it depends a little bit when you go. You'll see all sorts. You'll see some of the lovely penstemons, the beard tongues. You'll see daisies later. If you hit the right time, in the water in the middle there, you'll see something called buckbean, which is actually a circumboreal plant, but it only grows in 3 places in Nevada, and that's one of it. And it has... I mean, you have to kind of get a bit wet and go off trail, which you really shouldn't do, or have a zoom camera to see the flowers, because they have these lovely frilly bits in them. But yeah, it's fun. And then you've got, and you have the elephant head, and you have the monkey flowers. You have all sorts. Oh, and there's orchids. There's the platanthera orchids in there, and then there's the little spiranthes. There's gentians. There's all sorts. Many of them are small, but I used to go up there. Will again this summer, every week or so, because it's not far from my home. It's cool, and it's a great place to walk the dog, and it's surprisingly underused. Bird watchers, it's also a great place for bird watching.
I was going to ask you about that. You got me intrigued by this location now, especially because of monkey flower. Anything that has monkey in it, in the name, I love. Now I want to know, what does a monkey flower look like?
Oh, it's difficult to describe. They're either yellow or... There's a whole variety that you can see up there, but thinking of the ones that are more obvious is the skunky monkey flower, because it does have an unpleasant odor. It can be pink or yellow. I'm not quite sure why it's called monkey flower. Some people seem to think it looks like a monkey face, but I don't see that. It's what we call an irregular flower, because it's only got one line of symmetry, but it has some petals that stick up and then a lower lip, and sometimes they have little dots or stripes on them.
Okay, well, I must see a monkey flower now. It's on my list.
And they do have interpretive signage up there, and one of those signs mentions the monkey flower and has a little picture of it. Is because one of the ones there is the primrose monkey flower, and that has all these little hairs on its leaves. So if you get it early in the morning when the dew's on it, it's gorgeous.
You are speaking to me directly now. I'm wanting to go and check this out.
The other place to go is Slide. If you go, because it's still below 10,000 feet at the top by the radio towers, but you get some subalpine plants. The plants that live up there, they're growing out of the DG. They're growing in this rocky, gritty place. They might have 4 or 5 months of growth. It's pretty cool up there. But there's some neat plants. There's some neat eriogonum. Buckwheat is the common name for eriogonums.
Thank you for giving me the street name.
To come back.
I need the street names here.
But diversions. Problem with street names is that, daisy. Google daisy.
Right. How many are there?
How many are there? Google Bellis perennis and you'll come up with the English lawn daisy. So there is a reason for using the scientific or binomial names if you know them.
Or should we say the proper name?
Well, yeah. And they keep changing. But you're not just showing off when you use those. You are, you can hone in then on one plant.
Well, there are a bunch of people named Dave in the world.
Yeah.
I'm only one of them.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about me, you have to be clear, right? Use the full name.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
so that's
fair enough.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, the top of Slide is wonderful because you've got these, nearly like alpine plants, and it's not too bad. And say we're slow when we go up just because of having to look at all the different plants. But you go through woodlands. But once you open up and you're on the top, there's some great plants and great views.
It is a beautiful. When I was a kid, we would hike or we would camp at that
The campground, yeah.
And we would occasionally wander off and walk. And I don't think there was much of a trail, but we did climb up to close to the tower at the time. I mean, I was a kid, so I probably didn't have the stamina to go all the way up. I'd get bored, but I remember that place, that area, and so I'm picturing what you're describing now. And is there an actual trail? At this point?
We go up the access road.
Okay,
so it's
the road.
The access.
It's the road.
So it's a road, and if you park in the Mount Rose car park and you go to you go slightly to the left and take your life in your hands as you cross the road, then you can see, and it's got a barrier on it.
Right.
But yes, go up the access road, so it's nice and wide, or you can go up from the campground, because at the end of the campground you can access the access road.
I think
up where the toilets are, you can.
Got it. I remember that from years ago. It's been a long time, but now you're sending me back today. All these places are reminding me of things that happened in the past. I'm going to go back now.
And the other place, the other side of the road, Relay Peak Road.
Relay Peak.
Which was the old Mount Rose trail. But again, that access road, you get wonderful views. Even if you only go up about 3 miles, there's something called Frog Pond, and you can get onto the TRT, or you can keep going all the way up to where the Relay Peak, again, where you've got the towers up
Frog
there.
Pond I have seen from a distance. I think I was on the trail looking down on it.
Yes, because it's slightly to the side. So if you're going up Relay Peak Road, you just do a little diversion down and you see all the tadpoles and the frogs. And there's some nice white gentians there in end of August and other stuff. And again, if you go all the way up to the Relay station, you are getting into some of these buckwheats and things that like to grow in the DG and stuff like that. You're looking at this rocky, so how does anything survive?
Right.
And then you see these gorgeous plants with these pink flowers and different stuff. So
it is fairly stunning the way that works. I think I saw some of those pink flowers down at Sequoia National Park. Or it's the national park. There's Kings Canyon, and right next to it is, I think it's Sequoia.
Yeah, and
they're beautiful. And I remember in the rock, some pink flowers, which sound like exactly what you're talking about. I bet it's similar.
Yeah. Could be. And in fact, when you drive up Mount Rose Highway, if you're a passenger or if you're glancing out of the side vision, you do see these lovely pink penstemon. It's called Penstemon newberryi, and it grows out of the rocks, and it's on that rock face just before you get to the car park. You can see these pink flowers if you hit the right time.
Beautiful. Yeah. So what? Yeah, this is what I was hoping for, was some good tips about when and where to go. These are great suggestions. Thank you for that. And when you talk about bird watching, made me think about whether there are flower hunters like there are bird hunters who not hunting them literally, but looking to see them. But the elusive bird that is on the list for the bird watcher. I'm sure that there's something similar, right, for flowers?
Oh, there absolutely are. And I have a friend, yes, and he will go for rare plants. I've only been here 9 years, but I use an app called iNaturalist to see where plants that I want to see are, and then I will go there to look for them. But you see, we have this saying, and I didn't make it up, I read it on somebody else's site, botanizing, like bird watching, but the subject stays still. And then we joke when we're out on the trail, we're all sitting looking at the ground. The bird watchers are kind of staring up and looking around, and the insect people are going from side to side, looking as the insects zoom around. So, botanizing or plant hunting definitely has got advantages.
I think so. Well, you're not going to trip because you're looking down.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That helps.
The bird watchers can walk into a tree or any kind of
overhanging I've scuffed on stones every now and then if I'm looking sideways rather than looking at my feet, but yes.
But the risks are lower.
The risks
generally.
are lower, absolutely.
So are there publications that people purchase that list fauna or flora to go in search of, or is that how do you check off your bucket list of flowers as you're botanizing? I keep a list. I'd say I do this thing called iNaturalist. It's an app. I don't know if you've heard of it. iNaturalist?
Lowercase I, uppercase N, Naturalist. And it's its own organization, but it was National Geographic and the California Academy of Sciences when it started. It's actually citizen science. And you can put your observations in. So because I do that, put my observations in, I've got my own record kind of through that rather than making notes. I do also have notebooks I take with me on field trips and things.
Okay.
iNaturalist also have a sister app called Seek, SEEK,
nice.
which is great. You don't have to sign up for an account for that, but that will help you try and identify stuff through taking photographs. It suggests identifications. Doesn't always get them right, but it at least will direct you, more or less into the right place.
I have one or two apps that purport to tell me what I'm looking at if I take a picture or if I look up. Yeah, usually if I take a picture, it'll try to match it up. But it's not. It's different. This one is more personal. This one shows what you have found.
Well, it keeps your list, so I can go to mine. And actually, we did a bio blitz, and it was an online bio blitz for the month of April, because April is Native Plant Month, National Native Plant Month, and our birthday, our anniversary month. So we had online for the month of April, anyone who saw any plants in Nevada, it was captured into that project. There were over 12,000 observations, 1,000 different species.
Incredible.
You have observers. You also have people who go on and identify the plants. And if two people agree on the identification, it becomes research grade. Oh. And I know that scientists do use this. I know that people at UNR and other people will go into iNaturalist to look for research grade projects, research grade observations that they can then use. Okay. And I use iNaturalist. I do our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page, and we have a plant of the week. And I haven't been all over Nevada. Yeah. I want to represent all of our counties, so I use iNaturalist research grade projects to find plants to have a feature as our plant of the week.
Beautiful. Well, I have been all over Nevada, and I can't name very many of the plants, but I can name a couple. The only thing I got excited after 10 years that I was able to call out. I can't remember what it's called now. You mentioned it earlier. One of the paintbrush, the desert paintbrush. I thought, I actually know what that is.
Yeah.
It's the one that I can never forget. I'm terrible at this.
That's glorious. And I was at Hidden Valley on Sunday, and there's a little patch of it there in all different colors. I mean, you've got scarlet, you've got orangey, you've even got a few yellow ones that are still that same Castanea cremosa, which is desert paintbrush.
Incredible. But you talked about earlier, you mentioned in passing, but I want to come back to it, field trips.
Yep.
Tell me about what you offer people.
In terms of
field trips.
In terms of field trips, we've got a couple a month. COVID put a kibosh on everything, and we're rebuilding up. And we do a couple of months. So actually, this month. We've got an open garden this month. It's not a field trip, but on May 18th, one of our members has this fabulous garden in Sparks, and he's kindly opening it from 10 till 4, and it's on our calendar. Then we're hoping to go up. We do go into California because we're so close.
That's okay.
We're going up to the Sierra Valley Preserve because one of our members, who's sadly passed now, Bill Harnack, was involved in getting that preserve going from the ranch land and stuff. And he would always have Memorial Day field trips for many years. And we're hoping to go up there. Then, I have to remember. I know we're going to Peavine. Without looking at the calendar, I can't remember. We're going to Peavine.
You don't have to memorize it.
Yeah,
I just like knowing how people can find it. They go to the website.
You go to the website or Facebook. We do post them as events on Facebook. But if you go to our website now, which is nvnps.org, and you go to get involved, you'll find the calendar and all the save the dates for the field trips are there, and we add more in as they come. And then closer to them is where we put our meeting places and things. We try to carpool where possible. We've been having great turnouts. We've been excited, and we had 28 people to Hogue Road. We had 24 people, but we have enough people who are good at plants that we're not trying to get all 20-something people around the same plant. You kind of end up in smaller groups and sharing. So, and sometimes we produce plant lists ahead of time, but we always get plant lists afterwards. We can share with people.
That's beautiful. So, and you don't have to be a botanizer to join.
No. In fact, we really want to reach out to people. So many people are interested in native plants, say if they're hikers. But also gardening has evolved. And now with, pollinators and stuff being at risk and birds being at risk, if you can incorporate native plants in your yard, you can really help those species. I mean, everything's interconnected in ecosystems, and plants are the basis. And if you want to see pretty birds, you need to have insects chewing your plants because they feed all the babies on insects. And if you want native insects, you have to have native plants because so many caterpillars and so many juvenile stages are picky eaters, like monarch butterflies. They only eat milkweed, these caterpillars.
Wow.
Butterflies will, they're not picky. The adults, they'll get nectar from anywhere. But
Right.
the caterpillars will only eat milkweeds.
I did not know that. Okay, so we've gone through a lot, and that's fantastic. Thank you so much for all this information. So I'm taking that the nvnps.org website is the best place for people to get information about all these things that you're doing.
Yes, it is still. It is a newer website. We launched it last year.
Okay.
So it's still, in
A
progress.
work in progress.
A work in progress, but the calendar's there. We have some resources. So we have links for thinking of gardening to, using native plants in the yard. We also have... trying to buy native plants is difficult. You go to the nurseries, they've got all the pretty stuff.
Right.
But there are more and more, like the Washoe Tree Nursery on East Lake in Washoe Valley. They are opening tomorrow, and they have native plants that people can get for their landscapes. There's various other places. We will be at May Arboretum on the Saturday, May 17th, with a few native plants for sale.
Nice.
We have a lot of stuff.
I want to say, just for clarity, we are recording on May 7th, and this will drop on May 12th. So when you say tomorrow, it actually is May 8th, which will be before this is audible. So those of you who just decided to make a plan, hold up, because it's changed.
They are open on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday
Very good.
for the next coming months, and also on our web. I'm pushing the website again.
That's all right.
Because I recently put a blog post up.
Nice.
And so if you go to the homepage, scroll down, you'll find a blog post, and I put a link to their website on that blog post about
excellent.
purchasing native plants.
Excellent. So before we go, I have a question just from the perspective of a person who might want to come to a field trip and go out and enjoy a day with you. What should I bring? How do I prepare so that I have the best day possible?
You bring water, you wear closed-toed shoes. I always wear long sleeves and long leg pants when I'm out because, it stops the bugs and things, it stops the sunburn, and also, there's hitchhiker seeds all over the place, and some of those can be itchy, and you really don't want those in your socks and things. So sunscreen, if we're going somewhere wet, insect repellent, bring something to take photographs, because on the trail, it's leave no trace. So, you don't pick flowers, you take photographs of the flowers and the plants. Bring snacks. The very first field trip I went on, I wasn't prepared for how long it was, and it was pea vine. And, you think, it's only a mile. When we do that 1 mile and interpretive flat loop, we always tell people it's going to be at least 3 hours because there's so much to see. Right. So it's not, we're not doing distance, we're doing what we see, observations, and there's always a lot to see. And then people get chatting and some people hang behind.
Right.
So
When
water,
I think of a hike, a wildflower hike, this is not a straight walk through and point and say beautiful and then go home. You're getting out and really getting close. I love the belly plant. Did you call it?
Belly plant. We call them belly plants. Yeah.
I love the notion of the belly plant.
Yeah.
I've run into a couple of those over the Wild Nevada years where we had to get down low, but most of the time I could see it from a bit of a distance and it was okay. So that's my takeaway is belly plant and botanizer. Those are my words for the day.
But don't let botanizer put people off, because we welcome everyone. We really want people to learn about our plants and appreciate and love our plants. So, whether it's your first time out looking at flowers or whether you know them, they're our friends. I go back to see the same plants year after year because I love them. And
Absolutely.
I want to see, when they're coming out and what they're doing and what pollinators are visiting them. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. Oh, you have a big book that you're holding up.
We have a big book, if I can just mention that. We have a small store on our website, and we published a book called Wildflowers of the Foothill Regions of Northeastern Nevada.
Oh, nice.
It was written by a member of ours who sadly passed, but she gave us the chance to publish it. It has over 400 photographs of wildflowers that you will find, say she was Elko County, but really all the way across the top of the state.
Okay. That's what I was thinking of when I was talking about something to look at. Because if you have a copy of that and go out to look, you have some suggestions and something to identify what you're after. I love it. That's beautiful. Yeah. And a lot of work.
Yes, she did it. She taught at the Elko College, and she put out small editions of this for her students. But then once she passed, she gave us a chance to publish just one edition. So we are publishing. It's the last edition. I
appreciate you sharing that with us. Also, thank you for before we started, Emma gave me a calendar. This is the 50th or the 2025 Wildflower Calendar from the Nevada Native Plant Society, and this is the special because this is your 50th
Yep.
year. So how can people get a calendar?
Well, we still have a few left, and again through our website.
Okay.
And we will publish another calendar for 2026. What we do is we request people to send in pictures, and then we as the board vote on which pictures we like, and we have pictures of our plants from all over Nevada, and we give a little bit of information about them too.
Well, it's beautiful. I'm going to hang this on my wall as soon as we finish today. And thank you so much for coming in, giving me the time before you go up and enjoy a beautiful, beautiful afternoon.
Thank you for asking me and letting me talk about the Native Plant Society. It's a hidden secret.
My pleasure. And maybe we'll have you come back another time and talk about more seasonally about what people can go and find. I would love to see that happen. All right. So before we run out of here, I want to remind everybody to watch Wild Nevada on PBS Reno. That's via broadcast or by streaming at pbsreno.org and many other streaming sources as well. Also watch segments of PBS Reno of Wild Nevada on the PBS Reno YouTube channel. And do you have a question about Wild Nevada or maybe a comment or a suggestion? If you do, send them to me at podcasts@pbsreno.org. My thanks to Emma Wynn, and I want to thank you for listening to Wild Nevadacast.